Hello everyone, this is the Spring 2023 FAST Training Materials PowerPoint just as a refresher for you for the upcoming PM3. If you're listening to this, you are either going to be administering the FAST test to students grades 3 through 5 or proctoring. So if you have a proctor in your room that has not done this, just make sure that they have done this training. There's not a ton that is different with PM3, but it is more high stakes, so it is more, the rules are a little tighter for PM3 since it is used for pass-fail in 3rd grade and also for school grade. All right, your test administration manual was actually printed at the school. The state is no longer printing them. I will give you access to it online if you lose your book as well, but you will find your book in your box. 5th grade will have a separate one for science that is not created yet. So this will just be for writing, reading, and math. You're going to see these buttons throughout the presentation. CBT is computer-based test. PBT is paper-based test. Session lengths. We are going to have a minimum session length of only 90 minutes, and that is going to be for reading and math. It is 120 for writing. They do get all-day accommodation, which means that we will have to start testing within the first hour of the day. So by 9 a.m., I would like for you to be reading out of the manual to ensure that they start by 9:15, which is an hour after the school day starts. The state is giving all-day testing for all students, so that means we have to give them all day. So if you start past the hour, you're not really giving them all day to test. Again, the minimum is going to be 90 minutes, and that is set at the school and is actually not what's in your manual. So later on in this presentation, we are going to change your manual to say 90 minutes so that you can remember that. So make sure to have your manual during this training. If students need extra time, you're going to continue after a break. So you're going to do 45 minutes, have a break, 45 minutes, another break which you might do lunch or something, and then we will reconvene to see where all those extra time students, if they're going to be in your room or in a different room. Student accommodations. There is a statewide assessment accommodations guide that is on our internal site under the link of the page testing hub. The test administrator and myself are responsible for making sure that they know how to do the accommodations. And we're going to talk a little later on practicing those accommodations. So for computer-based tests, there's 2 types of accommodations. Masking, which none of our students at DEA have this, and also text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is oral presentation. It just is a different way of saying it with the computer. So if they have text-to-speech, it is oral presentation. And then paper-based accommodations, we don't have any at our school that require regular print, large print, or braille. Test materials that you will need. You'll need pens, pencils, and scratch paper. Each student taking the FAST Math must be provided with a pencil at our school. We're going to have a blank scratch paper to work out problems, which will have graph paper on it. So I will be giving you the grid or graph paper to provide. So if you want to start practicing with that, I can give out that link. The link will be on the testing hub so that you can print that out and have your students start practicing with that if you'd like. Any used scratch paper is secure material, so you'll have to turn those in when you turn all your other papers in. 4th and 5th grade will have a reference sheet, which I'll provide to you, and that will also come back with your test materials. I forgot to mention that it was said that we were going to have 2 days of reading and 2 days of math. We are not. There's 1 reading test, 1 math test, and you will get the scores pretty quickly. It'll be instant. You will also receive test tickets for every student. For the computer-based session, they'll get a different test ticket for reading and a different one for math, even though it'll probably look the same. It includes their first and last name, username for logging in to Tide, and I have to collect the test tickets. So the test tickets are very secure. So if you had FSA books last year, and you know how you had to keep them with you at all times, the test tickets you have to keep with you at all times because the test is open at that time, and so anyone with that test ticket can go into that student's test and make any changes. So if you use the restroom, you're taking those test tickets with you. So in your folders that you're going to be getting the morning of testing, you're going to have test tickets, reference sheets if you're in 4th or 5th grade, security log, seating chart, security checklist with accommodations, a do not disturb sign, and an electric device sign. You'll also have scratch paper, which I forgot to add into there. Okay, test security. School personnel may not view, copy, or reveal any test items. TA and proctors may not assist students in answering questions, just like a regular end-of-the-year assessment. Do not discuss any of the test items, and any school personnel involved in test administration must be trained and sign the security agreement, prohibited activities agreement, which I will also have in your boxes. If you signed one earlier this year, they are wanting us to have you sign another one right before this test. So you'll be signing it again, and it's front to back. You cannot read or view passages, reveal any passages, copy the passages, explain them to students, changing or interfering with their responses, copying or reading student responses, or causing the achievement of schools to be inaccurate. School personnel and proctors must read and familiarize themselves with the rule in Appendix C of your test manual. The security of all test materials must be maintained before, during, and after the test administration. And no more than 3 people should have access to the locked storage room, which is myself, Dr. Headley, and Guardian Murphy. Any monitoring software that would allow test content on the student devices to be viewed or recorded on another computer or device during the test must be turned off. So you cannot open Apple Classroom on your computer or your iPad while the students are testing. Do not open Apple Classroom. Test administrators must not administer tests to their family members. Students related to their assigned test administrator will be reassigned. Miss Lisette found that she was supposed to do Spanish translation in her daughter's room, so she flagged that for me, so thanks for catching that. So if I have you somewhere where you have a relative in the room, just make sure you let me know right away. Proctors. Proctors can be school personnel and non-school personnel. So I did ask some volunteers to proctor. You know, that's about it for that. They could be volunteers. They help monitor in the room, and they also have to sign the security agreement. Test irregularities. Test administrators, you need to report any tested irregularities to me at the exact moment that it happens. So if you think anything is just a little wonky, let me know right away. It could be something that's interrupted for an extended period of time due to like a technical issue or weather. It could be someone distracting. Anything at all, call me right away. Security breaches. TAs should report any breaches of test security right away to me so that I can let the district coordinator know. If a security breach is identified, then I will have to contact the district. All security breaches have to be submitted through the FAST. It has to be submitted to the district. Remember, prior to testing, you have to sign the security agreement and the prohibited activities agreement. Before testing, make sure that you understand the electronic device policy, the testing rules. We don't have a calculator policy, that's for 8th grade. Leaving campus rules and discussing test content. I want to discuss the leaving campus. If a student has like a doctor's appointment and leaves campus, they cannot come back and continue their test the next day. But if a student is sick, they do allow the student to finish the rest of the test later on. So if anyone is feeling sick in the middle of the test, that is a-okay. Just send them to the clinic and we can get them to test later on. Any student in possession of electronic device at any time during testing makes their test invalidated. That includes headphones. So any Bluetooth headphones in their ears could make their test be invalidated. And then we talked about leaving campus, and you need to be, any student who has not submitted their test needs to be with an adult, with a test administrator, even if it's during lunch, to make sure that they're not talking about the test. Students have to work independently. There are online practice sessions for FAST assessments. They're not required this year. For third grade, we used to have to do tests, practice tests, but we do not have to do practice tests anymore. For our school, I am going to make sure that you are doing a practice test for your students with oral presentation so that you can make sure they know where to click to have the questions read to them. Prepare the room for testing. You need to remove or cover any references to any subject. If you have a question on whether it should be covered or not, then just cover it. If it even is close, we're just going to cover it. Every student needs to have sufficient workspace, but they do not have to have corrals for PM3. If they get up to use the restroom, they just need to close their iPad so that no one can see their screen. They must not be able to easily view other students' devices. So make sure of that. When you arrive on the day of testing, make sure to open each student computer device and make sure that they're charged. Do not log in for students. They have to log in. Outside each door needs to have the do not disturb sign. We'll post appropriate signs around campus. This is the what your security log will look like, and the yellow parts are the parts that need to be filled out. So please make sure that you're filling this out before you come and drop off your papers to me. It'll have who the test administrator is, who the teacher is, first and last name of the student, the grade, their FLEID number. In attendance, you need to put present, P or A. So not checks or anything. You need to put P or A. Accommodations, it'll list their accommodations in there, and that's where you're going to circle the accommodations used. You have to circle the ones that they've used. And then we have the TA sign out. So you're going to be signing the test tickets out, and then I'm going to be signing them in later on. You also have the session ID, which is on the top right of your computer screen in Tide, and then whether they're 504 ESE or ELL. In the seating charts, make sure you have the date, your name, room number. You do not have to have like what iPad they're on. I already have that information and I'm turning that in. And make sure you have arrows pointing to which way they're facing. Assembling materials, I will give out pencils. Just make sure that they are sharpened. Make sure you have a working clock that has the correct time on it and that you have all the pages that you need. Anybody that's coming in and out of the classroom must sign in the testing room. The signs. This is about being sick, and we talked a little bit about that. So if they're sick, they can leave and then come back the next day to finish their test, but if they leave for like a doctor's appointment, they cannot. So on April 21st, all devices need to be here because we need to make sure that they're being charged. We need to make sure that there's no cracks in the screen. If there is a crack in a student's screen, we need to know right away because they should not be testing with a cracked screen. We have to get it fixed beforehand. And then we also need to make sure that the icon is on there for the secure test browser. No corrals again are needed. Make sure to read the script exactly how it is. We are going to make a few changes, and during the stretch break, you can repeat any portion of the script. So anything that's in the script, you can repeat. So we're going to edit our test manuals. If you can open up to page 32, this is the first thing that we're going to edit. Our county is only using option B. So please cross out option A. They may not, what's it say? Items, when you have finished reviewing your test, please raise your hand. I'll collect and provide you with further instructions. We're not giving them any further instructions. We're not using that. And C, I think, is to read a book. So B is just to sit quietly until the test is ended. So we're using option B. And this is only for the ELA reading, but you can go ahead and change this for writing and for math as well. It's going to be the same thing on all those pages. We're using option B. The other thing we're going to change is this second paragraph. Instead of 120 minutes, our school is doing a minimum of 90 minutes. So you have 90 minutes to complete this test, and we will take a short stretch break after 45 minutes. After 90 minutes, you will be permitted to continue working if you need additional time. So even though you're doing like a 10-minute warning, they have extra time if they need it. So again, in the writing and the math, go ahead and change the 120 to 90 and the 60-minute break to 45 minutes. Okay, during testing, we have to start by 8:45. I want you reading by 9. And especially for third grade, I believe your proctors, a lot of them are specials teachers. So you might want to start reading by 8:45 because they have to leave by 10:30. Make sure to keep time appropriately. Maintain test security. At all times, you have to report any violations. Adhere to the test security policies. If students leave the room during the test for short breaks, make sure that nobody can see their iPad screen. And you don't need to keep time on, like, they were in the bathroom for 3 minutes, so I'm going to give them 3 extra minutes. No, you don't need to do that. Oh, what did that say? If a student's test is paused in the secure browser, that student must log back in, and the TA has to approve them on their side again. Supervised test administration. Your full attention should be on the students at all times. So no reading, no grading, not on your computer, not on your cell phone. You need to 100% be eyes on the students. While students are working, actively monitoring the test room to ensure that students have their desks cleared and their workstations cleared. They don't have books, notes, or electronic devices, and to make sure that they're not talking and they're working independently. Do not talk to students about test items. Don't view their desktop. Like I said, do not open Apple Classroom. You cannot view their screens while they are testing. That is a big no-no. Do not actively monitor them to make sure that they're using certain strategies. So if your rule is that they have to highlight the text as they're reading, you're not able to make them feel like you're watching them, that they're using those strategies. That's against the rules. So you could try to tell them that you need to do that because that's what is going to be best for them, but you cannot monitor if they are doing that, and after the test you in no way can say you used your strategies, so you get a prize, but you didn't use your strategies, you don't get a prize. Make sure that you should not know if they use their strategies or not. You may not read scratch paper notes after you've collected them, and you cannot discuss if they've used it or not. If a student's computer is disconnected from their test, just contact me or Miss Brantley. I'm trying to get her not to proctor that day so that she's available. If a student has difficulty logging in, just first restart the iPad. And then don't keep having them sign in over and over and over again. Call me so that we can figure it out and they don't get, so nothing bad happens. If a student reports a defective item, they say, oh, this problem doesn't have an answer, write it down so that I can turn in that information. Most of the time, it's just their error, but if they say, this problem doesn't have an answer, or, this doesn't make sense, or something wrong with the test, just write it down. After testing is complete, they're not permitted to write or use their devices. So once they're done with the test, they close their device and they have to sit quietly. Test materials cannot be returned to students once they've been collected. I did find out if a student accidentally submits their test, I can call the district and they can open it back up. Then you're going to return all your things to me after you've triple checked that everything is filled out. You're going to return all of those things that are going to be in your folder. I do want to say that we are going to have a lot of students use extra time. So on the sheet that I sent out that had who was proctoring, I also left one room in every grade open for extra time. So that teacher will be in the classroom to do the extra time. If you have kids with extra time, you can go in that room and give that to you can still administer the test to them, or you could have Like for instance, Miss Squire's room in 5th grade. Miss Squire is going to split her class that have completed testing into the other 5th grade classrooms, and then she's going to be in there to administer extra time tests. Now, if Miss Appling has one student that needs extra time, Miss Appling can go into Miss Squire's class and do it with her student, or she could just send that student in there and Miss Squire can administer the test for that student as well. So make sure to sign the security agreement front and back. Review. This is what you're going to do next. So if you need to take a picture of anything, take a picture of this. These are your next steps. You have to sign the security agreement front and back. Review test items with the PowerPoints on the internal site. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Ensure that you have ELL dictionaries for all your ELL students. They should have been using them all year. So make sure you have enough dictionaries for all of your ELL students. Make sure that all iPads are back by April 21st. Make sure all iPads have the secure browser. Have students with oral presentation do a practice sessions. Remember that the headphones have to be plugged in before you launch the secure browser. Send the parent letter homes that were in your box yesterday, and sign that you've completed this training. The sign-in sheet is going to be hanging outside of my office, so make sure that you sign that as well. Again, take a picture of the screen. All of this needs to be done as soon as possible. So thank you for everything. Let me show you what the district has provided. So on our internal site, if you go to the page Testing Hub, you'll find the testing locations and proctors, sample test items for ELA and math. We do not have one for writing, but if you open this up, it goes into a OneDrive, and let's open up 3rd grade fast ELA. Oh no, maybe I have to sign in. Oh, there we go. I wasn't signed in. Okay, let's try again. It should automatically download a PowerPoint. This is not, you don't have to do this, but it is highly recommended, and I think that it's really good that they created these. It's loading, I'm sorry. Okay, so first of all, it goes through all the steps that the students are going to be doing that morning. But what else is really cool is it goes into, how to do the notes, how to do the line readers and the zoom in and out. And then it also goes through what kind of test items and how to submit your test. So this is for reading and math, and it's something that you can do with your students. So like for instance, this one says, that's a strike through, hold on. Multiple answer choices, you just select one or select all. Then there's choose two, select two. So it's just a really good review on how to take the test. And again, there's one for reading for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and one for math for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So go ahead and do those with your class as well. Thank you all for watching, and make sure that you have completed all of these steps. Thanks.